Good evening, guys. In the last session, we discussed about how to work with Docker file. What are the keywords that we should know in order to write a Docker file? What is from keyword? What is the maintainer keyword? What is the run keyword? CMD, copy, add, workdir, expose, entry point, and what is user keyword we have seen. And we also discussed about how to Dockerize one Spring Boot application. As discussed yesterday, Spring Boot is a Java framework which is used to develop Java based applications, guys. Okay. And Spring Boot applications will be packaged as a jar file. To run the jar file, we will use a command called java space hyphen jar space application jar file. And remember that point, when we run the Spring Boot application jar file internally, Spring Boot will use Tomcat server as the embedded container with the default port number 8080. Okay, so this is the Docker file which is used to Dockerize our Spring Boot application. We are able to Dockerize that and we are able to access that application also. Good, guys. Anybody facing issues while running this Spring Boot application by using Docker? Anybody facing issues while running Spring Boot application by using Docker? Come on. Anybody facing the issues while running Spring Boot application with Docker? Please confirm in the chat box.
No, sir.
I'm not getting any response from the people.
No, sir. We created a file by using vi command.
Okay, you created a file and you are able to run that also, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, very good, guys. Next one, let's understand how to Dockerize Java web application which is not using Spring Boot. If we use a Spring Boot in the project, that application will be packaged as a jar file and we need to run the jar file like this. Internally, it will run in the Tomcat server with port number 8080. Suppose if you are going to Dockerize a Java web application which it does not which does not have Spring Boot, then what is the process? The process is Java, normal Java web applications. When I say normal Java, there is no Spring Boot, guys. Normal Java web applications will be packaged as WAR file. Normal Java web applications will be packaged as WAR file. Okay, that project WAR file, when we package application, that WAR file will be generated, right? WAR file will be created. WAR file will be created inside project target directory. WAR file will be created inside project target directory. You got my point? It will be created inside project target directory. Now, how to run this WAR file? Directly, we cannot run the WAR file, guys. WAR file will be deployed to execute the web application, to execute that Java web application, we need to deploy that WAR file. We need to deploy that WAR file in Tomcat server. So here, in order to run this Java web application, we need to create a WAR file for our application. By using Maven package, we can create a WAR file. That WAR file will be created inside project target directory. To execute that WAR file, we need one server called Tomcat server. So inside Tomcat server, we will have one folder called web apps folder. Inside Tomcat server, we will have web apps folder. It is called as deployment folder. Whatever the web apps folder is available, that web apps folder is called as deployment folder. Okay, we need to keep WAR file to deploy the application, to run the WAR file, we need to keep WAR file inside Tomcat web apps folder. Then only our application will be executed. So as I told you, Java applications we can deploy in two ways, right? So if the Java application is using Spring Boot, then it will create a jar file. To run the jar file, we are using some command like this. Okay, so if the Java application is developed by using Spring Boot, the deployment model is different. Every Spring Boot application will be packaged as a jar file. So we need to run the jar file directly. When we run the jar file directly, then immediately it will start the Tomcat server with the port number 8080. That is the default behavior. But when you go for normal web application without Spring Boot now, then that project will be packaged as a war file. We need to deploy that war file in the Tomcat server. Inside the Tomcat server, there is a folder called web apps folder is available. We need to keep that war file inside the web apps folder. Inside the web apps folder. So based on that, we need to write the Docker file. Okay, Docker file, Docker file for Java web application. Yesterday we created Docker file for the Spring Boot application. Today we are going to create the Docker file for normal Java web application. So we need Java as a dependency. This is a Java application and we need Tomcat as a dependency. Java and Tomcat we need as dependencies to run our application. In the yesterday's application, only Java is dependency. So when you run the Java Spring Boot application, Tomcat server will start automatically. But today's scenario is different. This is not Spring Boot. Okay, so we need to specify Tomcat as a dependency for our application execution. So we need to use Tomcat as a base image for our application. We will use the from keyword from Tomcat : latest. I want to specify Tomcat as a base image for executing our application. So when we specify Tomcat as a base image now, Tomcat server is developed by using Java only. So when the Docker is downloading the Tomcat, automatically it will download the Java also. You no need to specify from Java. Okay, this is not required, guys. This Java we no need to specify as a base image because already we are specifying Tomcat as a base image. When we specify Tomcat as a base image, automatically Java also will be available for our application. Then I'm going to specify who is maintainer of our application. Our application maintainer is Ashok, who is the author of the Docker file. And how to run this application. Okay, just what we need to do. Inside the Tomcat server, we will have web apps folder. It is called as a deployment folder. How to run the war file? To run the war file, we need to keep that war file inside web apps folder. That's it. You don't need to execute the war manually. If you just to copy the war file to the Tomcat server web apps directory, then our task is completed. How to copy the data from host machine to container machine? By using copy command, where the war file will be created. Inside our project directory, war file will be created. Target, something like Maven. Our web application is available. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. So we have the, whenever we package this Maven project now, then war file will be created. That war file will be available inside the target directory in the host machine. So we need to copy that war file from project target directory to container machine. Inside the container, Tomcat will be downloaded. So by default, that Tomcat will be downloaded into one directory called user local Tomcat. This is the default path in the container machine when we are downloading the Tomcat. Inside the Tomcat, we need to deploy our application in the web apps folder. Inside the Tomcat, web apps folder will be available, which is called as a deployment folder. Now, that default Tomcat server port number is what? By default, Tomcat server will run on the port number 8080. That's it. So if you write the Docker file like this, then your Java web application will be executed inside the Tomcat server as a war file. So both are Java projects. Yesterday also we executed Java application by using Docker. Today also we are executing Java application by using Docker. But the difference, Yesterday project developed by using Spring Boot. Today project is not developed by using Spring Boot. If the Java project is developed using Spring Boot, it will be packaged as a jar. We need to run the jar directly. When the web application is available without Spring Boot, that will be packaged as a WAR file. So we need to deploy the WAR file into Tomcat server. So how to deploy the WAR file into Tomcat server? Just you need to take the Tomcat as a base image. When you take the Tomcat as a base image, by default, Java also will be available because Tomcat is depends on Java. Then who is the author of this file? And expose 8080. Expose 8080 means that application container port. The application port number is 8080. Okay, we are specifying for readability, guys. If you don't specify expose also, nothing will happen. Actually, with these two lines, we are good to go. These two lines are sufficient to run our Java web application by using Docker. So if you want to maintain the information, who is the author of this file, then maintainer. If you want to give the information, then expose 8080. Okay, and copy. I want to copy this WAR file from the project target directory to our Tomcat web apps directory. What is this 7979? This is basically a employee ID. In the company, for every employee, one ID will be available. Na? If I write Ashok, in a company, so many Ashoks will be available. So it's better to give the employee ID so that people can recognize who is this Ashok. It is optional. Just I'm giving for understanding purpose. That 7979 basically employee ID. For every employee,
Working directory is not required.
not required, na, because we are not executing any commands from that. Na. Directly we need to copy the WAR file to the web apps, then application will execute.
If we took any problem,
Sorry?
if we took a working directory also no problem.
No problem. If you have any requirement, you can take it. But here there is no requirement. Na. If you just to copy the file, application will be deployed. Yesterday, you need to copy the jar to this path. Then you need to go to that path and you need to execute. That's why I have taken work directory yesterday. Today, what I am doing, just I am copying the WAR file to the web apps folder. Then my task is completed. My application will execute. Work directory not required here. If you want, you can take it. But there is no use. Na? All right. So this is a Docker file to run our Java web application. All of you clear with this Docker file now? All of you clear with this Docker file now? Is there anything confusion?
Sir,
Docker
it will,
Java web
it will
application?
it will download Tomcat latest version, Tomcat 10.
Yes, sir.
But
If you want to download particular version of Tomcat also, you can specify base image with that version number.
okay. And now one issue is when we install Tomcat on our server, then we have to change some configuration of Tomcat user.xml. So
If you want to access the admin console, then you need to change that console. You can change the port number, you can add the users and all. Here I don't want to access any admin console, just deployment is sufficient.
okay.
Changing that configuration is optional. If you have any need, then you can change it. But here we don't need to do now. I just want to run it in the Tomcat server. Tomcat server web apps folder. When you copy the WAR file, automatically application will be executed. Okay, good. Now let me go to my GitHub repository, guys. Let me clone my Maven web application, which is having that Docker file. You go to Maven web app project GitHub repository available. So in this GitHub repository, I kept the Docker file, guys. I'm opening the Docker file. And can you see the Docker file here? What is there in the Docker file now? Tomcat 8.0 JRE 8 I specified. If you want particular version of the Tomcat, this configuration. So if you don't know the version, then you can configure Tomcat :latest. So when you give Tomcat :latest, then what will happen? Latest version of the Tomcat, it is going to download. From Tomcat, maintainer name, expose 8080, copy that WAR file from the targeted directory to user local Tomcat web apps folder, then application deployment will happen. Let me clone my GitHub repository into system. Copy this. Let me go to the folder where our Docker is available. Yeah, Docker. Yeah. I will clone this by using git bash. This is my git repository. I'm going to use git clone. I'm cloning this git repository. Cloning got completed, guys. Now you can check it. I have the Maven web application, cd space Maven web app. Inside the Maven web app, Docker file is available. Can you see any target directory is available? Target directory is not available here.
Not available.
Not available. So we need to package our application. But for the Docker file, that war file is required. Cat Docker file. Now, when you cat the Docker file, target directory war file is required. But currently in our project directory, that target folder is not available. So I need to execute Maven package goal. For that we have pom.xml, mvn clean package. I'm packaging this application by using Maven. Scanning for this project, it is getting packaged. Build got success, then war file got created. Now you can check inside the project earlier, target directory not available. Now the target directory also created. Now you can see ls-l target. Now inside the target, can you see the war file is created or not? Inside the target directory, war file is available. Now, suppose for example, guys, suppose for example, if I am removing this war file from the target, rmrf target, I'm deleting target directory of our project. Target directory not available. But the Docker file is expecting war file in the target directory. Let me try to build the image without that target directory. Docker build -t, the image name, something like ashok_maven web app. ashok_maven web app space dot. I'm trying to build the Docker image. Oh, it is saying what, guys? Can you please read this message? Error during connect. That means my Docker desktop is not running in my system. So I'm using Windows machine. In this machine, Docker desktop is not running. So let me open Docker desktop. So when we stop the system, Docker desktop also got stopped. So let me open Docker desktop and let me run this Docker desktop, guys. Let me run this Docker desktop in my system. Okay, I'm waiting for the Docker desktop to be started. Yeah, Docker desktop, currently it is starting the Docker engine in my system. Yeah, starting the Docker engine. Docker engine is the underlying technology that runs the containers. Engine is getting started. Yeah, finally, my Docker desktop is running successfully in my system, guys. Engine is running successfully. Now go here and let me execute that command. Executing that command. Before executing that command, let me do docker system prune -a. I want to delete everything which is available in my machine. All the images I have deleted from my system. Now you can see Docker images, no images are available. I'm inside the project directory. Target file is also not available. I'm using Docker build. I'm using Docker build -t image name, something like this, ashok_. You can give any name for the image, guys. It's up to you. Space dot. Now I'm trying to build a Docker image. Yes. Now can you see? Is it able to create the Docker image successfully? It is not able to create the Docker image successfully.
Not able to create.
Why it is not able to create the Docker image, guys? Can you see the reason for that?
In web apps folder, Maven
Target folder.
.war file is there, right?
Ah, ah.
There is no target.
Yes, in this application, Dockerization I'm trying to perform. So I'm creating Docker image. So to create the Docker image, I'm copying the WAR file from the target directory to the Tomcat web apps. Who will download the Tomcat in the container machine now? Is it my responsibility? Is it a Docker responsibility?
Docker.
Yeah, Docker is responsible to download the Tomcat and copy the WAR file. Okay. To copy the WAR file, first of all, WAR file is not available. So not found. WAR file is not found. So that's why it got failed. Now, let me do this now. MVN clean package. This MVN clean package is used to package our Maven application. Okay, whenever we package Maven application, target directory is created and WAR file is also generated. Now you can execute the same command again. Docker build -t Ashok IT Maven web app space dot. Now it is creating Docker image for our application. It is using Tomcat 8.0 of JRE. So it will take care of Java as well as Tomcat. We configure Tomcat as a base image. To run the Tomcat, Java is required. So Docker will download Java as well as Tomcat in the container machine. And it will copy our project WAR file from target directory to Tomcat server web apps folder. Docker image is getting created. Yes, it's taking time to create the Docker image now. Copying that WAR file. Okay, so exporting the image. Finally, the image is created. So we can check the images available now. Docker images. So 10 seconds ago, one Docker image got created. Image ID generated. Image name is also available. Now, you can run the Docker image to create a Docker container. Docker run -d -p Tomcat default port number 8080. Then what is the name of the image? It is Ashok IT / Maven web -app. Maven web -app. I am running the image to create a container and execute the application. How the application will be executed? WAR file is copied to Tomcat. Tomcat will run our application. That a Tomcat server will run on the port number 8080. That 8080 port number of the container, I am mapping to host machine port number. My host machine is a Windows machine today. Execute it. Yes, with this I am able to create a Docker container to run my application. Then you can check Docker PS. Yes, our application is executing inside a container. Docker PS command is used to display the containers which are in the running mode. Now, I want to see the container logs, guys. I want to see the container logs. Can you tell me what is the command to see the container logs?
Docker logs with container ID.
Yes.
logs container ID.
Why we will check the container logs? What is the need of that?
To
What
check
is the
the
need of
port
checking
number.
the logs of the container?
Port
We know
number,
the
sir.
port number.
For port
And-
number, to understand how server is working, to understand is there any problem in the server. If any exception occurring in the application, then we can check the logs of the application. Is there any exception? Is there any problem? Is there any port number issue? So any issue, if your application is not executing successfully in the container, if there is any exception in the application, to troubleshoot that exception, we need to check the logs of the application. For that, we are having a command called Docker logs space container ID. Now execute it. Now can you see here? It is saying starting. What is the port number? 8080. Okay, server startup. Tomcat server is started. These all are the logs of our Tomcat server. Deploying web application. That WAR file it is deploying. The web application archive is available. The web application is deployed successfully. And the Tomcat server is running on the port number 8080. Okay, the container is running our application. Inside the container, our application is running. To see the logs of that Docker logs command. Suppose if you execute this application in the Linux machine, then public IP :8080 you will use to access that application. But I am running in the Windows machine, so I can use localhost :8080 localhost :8080 maven web app. Localhost colon 8080/maven web app. So with this URL, am I able to access my application, guys? Localhost colon 8080/maven web app. That is the URL of the application. Where that application is running now? That application is running in the Docker container. That application is running in the Docker container. So this Docker file we are using to execute our Java web application. This Docker file we are using to create the Docker image for our Java web application. This is application Git repository. This is application Git repository. Did I give the Git repository of yesterday's application? Spring Boot Docker image application? No. Application get repo of the Spring Boot application. Guys, you understand how I have Dockerized my Java web application with the help of Tomcat? You guys understood how I have implemented Dockerization by using Java web application, by using Java Spring Boot application?
Sir,
So
one
this is-
question.
Sir, what doubt, sir?
I will take your doubt, sir. Give me some time.
No, sir, that web inside the web app folder, where did you put it that jar or war file?
In the web apps, WAR file will be available. That's it.
Okay, we need to keep there or automatically it will go on.
Yes, if you keep there, automatically it will run.
Can you show again?
Yeah, this is the one.
So where is the command to start Tomcat, sir?
Got it, sir.
I'm not getting your question, sir.
So where is the command to up the Tomcat, sir? To start
You
the
know, that is Docker. Docker will take care of it, sir. You no need to up it. If you specify Tomcat, na, automatically it will download the Tomcat and it will run the Tomcat also. You no need to up the Tomcat. It's not a manual process. Docker will take care of it.
Okay, got it.
That is the reason. That is the reason when I copy the WAR file to the web apps folder, automatically my application is deployed and I'm able to access my application. Okay, good guys. So with this, we are able to understand our application execution. So I have given the GitHub repository. So the first step, CD, clone Git repository. So the first step, clone Git repo. I have given the Git repository URL also. So this is the URL of our Java web application that we need to execute by using Docker. Git clone repository URL. Then go inside the project directory. Go inside project directory and perform maven build. Okay. So for this CD space project directory name, which is maven web application. Then I am using MVN clean package. When we perform MVN clean package, na, project target directory will be created. WAR file will be generated in the target directory. Create Docker image. Already in that GitHub repository, Docker file is available. You just need to create the Docker image. For that, Docker build -t image name Ashok ID /maven web app. You can give any name for the image, space dot. It will create the Docker image. After the Docker image is created, you can check the images which are created. Docker images are created. Then fourth step, create a Docker container. Create Docker container. To create a Docker container, Docker run. I'm using Docker run command -d -p port mapping 8080 / my image name, which is Maven web application. Okay. Once this application is executed, access application URL in browser. Suppose if you are doing in the Windows, you will be accessing like this http://localhost:8080 war file name maven web app. Suppose if it is a Linux machine, then you are going to access by using public IP:/8080 You are going to access by using public IP colon 8080. Then we are going to access that application URL. Okay, so this is the process that we have done now in order to access our application. In order to check the logs of the application, docker ps command we are using, docker logs command we will use, and we will specify container ID to check the logs of the container. So I have given my GitHub repository to run the Java application by using Docker. You need to clone this GitHub repository. Then you need to package that project. First go inside the project directory and you package it. You can do this process in the Windows machine or Linux machine. Anything is fine. Then build the Docker image and check the Docker images are created or not. Once the image is created, you can run the Docker image in the detached mode along with the port mapping. Then you can check the container is running or not. Once the container is running, then you can check the logs of the container. Okay, then access the application URL in the browser. Windows machine is available, and Linux. If I'm using Windows now, so I'm using localhost. So if you are using in the Linux machine, then using its public IP, you need to access that application. Suppose for yesterday's application, what are the steps we have followed, guys? Same procedure. To run this Dockerizing Spring Boot application, Docker file is available. What is the procedure we follow yesterday? Same procedure. We need to clone this Git repository that is related to our Spring Boot application. So you need to clone the Git repository of our Spring Boot application. Then HTTPS. Okay. Go inside the project directory and perform the Maven project. This project name is Spring Boot Docker app. Okay, cd space Spring Boot Docker app, clean package. So you can create the Docker image name. You can give anything. It is a Spring Boot application. You can check the images. It is also running on the port number 8080. So I'm going to specify Ashok ID /SB app. Container, you can check the URL. So here for the Spring Boot, you don't need to specify application name in the URL. Directly public IP colon 8080, it will give the response for you. But when you are accessing web application war file then you need to give that war file name in the URL, then only you can access the application. I have given the URLs also in order to access our application in the browser for testing purpose to verify these applications are running as expected or not. All right. So with this, we are able to understand. The applications are working as expected or not, and we are able to Dockerize Spring Boot application, and we are able to Dockerize this normal Java web application. Now, for example, how to Dockerize a Python application. Python is another technology, guys. Python is another technology. How can we Dockerize this Python application? Okay, Python, we can call it as a programming language or we can call it as a scripting language. Python is a general purpose language, and some people will call it as it is also called as scripting language. It is also called as scripting language. Okay, Python is a general purpose language. It is also called as scripting language. Okay, when we are developing a Python application, we no need of any build tool. We don't need any build tool for Python applications. For Java applications, Maven we are using as a build tool, whereas for Python applications, we don't need any build tool. We can directly run the Python application. We can run Python application code directly. We can run Python application code directly by using a command called python space app.py. If your Python program name is application.py, we can run Python application code directly by using this command. But for Java, it's not the scenario. When we go for Java application, we need to build the Java project as a jar file or war file. Then only we can run that jar or var. But for Python, that build process is not required. Directly you can run the Python program. So if you know application execution model, then only we can write the Docker file. Java Spring Boot, jar file execution required. Java web application, war file should be deployed in the Tomcat server. Similarly for Python, we don't need any build tool. Python code we can directly run, guys. Python code we can directly run. Java is using Spring Boot as a library, guys. So if you see in my Java application, Spring Boot we are using as a library. Where we will configure libraries of the Java application, guys? In the Java application, we will have a dependency called pom.xml. So Java project we created by using Maven pom.xml will be available. Inside the Maven pom.xml, we are going to configure dependencies. So for this project, I'm specifying Spring Boot is required. So Maven dependencies, which are also called as Maven libraries. Okay, so whatever the Java application I am running with the Spring Boot. So Java is a programming language. Spring Boot is a framework. Okay, so this is my Java application. This is my Java application. This Java application requires Spring Boot. Spring Boot is developed by other company. Java developed by Sun Microsystem. Currently, it is with the Oracle Corporation. But Spring Boot is developed by other company. The Spring Boot is a library, which is a framework of Java. We will use the Spring Boot library to develop our Java web application. So then who will download that Spring Boot library, which is required for the Java application? That's where Maven will download the Spring Boot required for the Java application. How Maven will know that we need Spring Boot for our application? In the project, pom.xml file will be available. In the Java application, pom.xml file will be available, which is used to configure the dependencies. So I want Spring Boot, I want a Hibernate, I want a Kafka, I want Redis, I want MySQL database driver. So any libraries that are required for application development in the Java application pom.xml we will configure. Then Maven will download those dependencies. So you need to understand Spring Boot is a framework which is used to develop a Java application. Spring Boot library will be downloaded by Maven. For Maven, we need to tell, hey, Maven, I need Spring Boot library. I will configure that in the pom.xml. Then Maven will go to the internet and will download the Spring Boot and will add to the project. That is the process. Similarly, when we are going to develop Python application, when we are going to develop any Python application now, to develop the Python application, I will use one library called Flask library. How Spring Boot is available for the Java, similarly for the Python, there is a library called Flask library is available. So by using this Flask, I am going to develop the Python application. Are you guys able to follow me? Now, what is a Spring Boot? What is Flask? What is a Spring Boot and what is a Flask?
The Spring Boot is a framework for Java. Flask is a framework for Python.
Correct. Spring Boot is a library required for the Java. Flask is a library which is required for the Python. So in the Java application, who is downloading Spring Boot? Programmer is downloading the Spring Boot, or Maven is downloading the Spring Boot in the Java? Maven is downloading. How Maven will know that this Java project is using Spring Boot?
In pom.xml.
Spring Boot is a Java library or Java framework that is required to develop the Java application. So in the Java application, pom.xml will be available. In the pom.xml, we will configure Spring Boot as a library. So then Maven will download the Spring Boot and will give to Java application. We are done with that process. Okay, fine. Next, coming to Python. I'm going to develop a Python application. For this Python application, I want to use a Flask library. So we need to download the Flask library required for the Python, but I will not download. Okay, in the Python, there is a concept called, pip concept is available. What is that, guys? Python, pip is available, Python package manager, pip. Okay, so any libraries or any dependencies required to develop the Python application can be downloaded by using pip. So where we will specify which which library is required? There will be one file called requirements.txt file. How we have the pom.xml in the Java, similarly in the Python, there will be one file called requirements.txt file will be available. So in the pom.xml, we are configuring Spring Boot as a dependency. So in the pom.xml, I'm specifying that I need Spring Boot for my project. Similarly, in the Python, requirements.txt file will be available. In the requirements.txt, we are going to specify I need Flask to run this application. And who is going to download the Spring Boot based on the pom.xml? Maven. Maven is a build tool. But do we have any build tool for the Python, or we don't have any build tool for the Python?
We don't have any building.
Do we have any
We don't
build tool for the Python? We don't have any build tool for the Python. No. But we are configuring Flask is required as a dependency for the Python. Where we will configure that Flask data? We are configuring the Flask data in a file called requirements.txt. Who will download the file details which are mentioned in the requirement.txt? That's where Python pip comes into picture. What is that, guys? Python pip software we are going to use, which is used to download the dependencies which are available in the pip software. Are you clear now? So based on this knowledge, we need to write the Docker file to Dockerize Python application. Right. First, we need to understand. You need to know about the technology deployment model. You don't need to write the Python code. If you don't know how to write a Python program, no problem. If you don't know how to write a Java program, no problem. But you should know how Java projects should be deployed, how Spring Boot project should be deployed, how to run the Spring Boot project, how to run the war file, how to run the Python application. If you know the execution process, then it is sufficient. Based on that, we can write the Docker file. Okay. Python is a general purpose language. It is also called as scripting language. We don't need any build tool for the Python application. We can run Python application code directly like below. Python application code directly like below. So if we need any libraries for the Python like Flask, if we need any library for the Python application development, if we need any libraries for Python application development, then we will configure, then we will mention them in requirements.txt file. So similarly, when you go for Angular, package.json file will be available. Whatever the dependencies are required for the Angular, we will configure them in the package.json. In the React also, package.json. In the Node.js, dependencies file will be available. So for your application, what libraries are required, we will configure them. So if we need any libraries for the Python application development, then we will mention them in the requirements.txt. Any libraries for the Python. For example, I'm taking Flask as a library. So for executing my Python application, I need a Flask library. I will tell to Docker to download the Flask. Okay, where I will tell by using requirements.txt. Who should download the Flask by using requirements.txt? Pip. We are going to specify pip software. Okay. Now we will use. Madam, please go on. Priyanka Sahu, please go on mute. I can't understand your language. I don't know. Please go on mute. We will use Python pip. We will use Python pip software. We will use Python pip software to download libraries. To download Python libraries configured in requirements.txt file. Now all of you, please understand details about the Python now. How to Dockerize one Python application I am going to explain. Docker is a general purpose language. It is also called as scripting language. We don't need any build tool for Python application. We can run Python application code directly using Python command. If we need any libraries for the Python, for example, Flask for the development, then we'll mention them in the requirements.txt. So whatever we configure in the requirements.txt, who is going to download? By using Python pip, we are going to download. When the Python is installed, by default pip will come. By using pip, we can download the dependencies, libraries. So when I'm talking about dependencies, libraries, they are different. Libraries nothing but they are used for development purpose. Dependencies nothing but softwares which are required to run the application. Okay, for this Python application, Python is a dependency. Flask is a library. Okay, so in order to run this Python application now, I'm going to use Flask. So for this application, we will specify Python dependency. Okay, for this Python application, Python dependency, and Flask is a library. For the development, libraries are required. For execution, dependencies are required. Able to follow me? Able to follow me? Please confirm in the chat box. Now, do you understand Python application execution model? Yes. So with this knowledge, we need to write a Docker file to run the Python application. With this knowledge, we need to run the Docker file to run the Python application. Okay. Python Flask application Docker file. Python Flask application Docker file. So in order to run this Python application, I need Python as a base image. Okay, I will specify from keyword Python latest version, or if you know the version number, you can specify. I'm specifying Python version as a 3.6. If you don't know the version, you can take the latest version of the Python. Then I can configure maintainer, that is optional, leave it. Okay, whatever the Python code is available, I want to copy that Python code from current directory. Dot means current directory. So whatever the code is available for the Python, I want to copy that data into user app directory from Python 3.6. So that means I'm telling to the Docker, I want Python as a base image to run this application. Python is a dependency for my application. Copy. I want to copy Python project code. If it is a Java, jar file or war file, build tool will be available for Java. You can copy jar or war. But for Python, no build tool. Complete code we are going to copy from the present working directory to user app directory. Copy dot. Dot means present working directory. Once we copy the Python code, then I will go to that directory by using workdir, user app. My code will be copied from host machine to container machine. My Python application code will be copied from host machine to container machine by using work directory. After copying that, before going to execute, okay, suppose for example, I want to execute this application. So to execute this application, either CMD or entry point, which is recommended, guys. CMD is recommended, entry point is recommended.
Entry point.
Entry point is recommended. My application code is available in the file app.py, entry point. So this application is going to run on the port number 5000, expose 5000. This is a Docker file for that. But here, what about Flask? Who is going to install the Flask? Who will install that Flask? Python pip should install. So before going to run the Python program, I will specify that, hey, run. What is the meaning of run? What is the meaning of run?
Execute.
At the
It is
time
to
of
execute
MS
instruction while
run.
creating Docker
Creating
images.
time of image creation.
Yes. Do you want to execute any instruction when the Docker container is, do you want to execute any instruction when the Docker image is getting created? Do you want to execute any instruction when the Docker image is created? We will configure that by using run. So what I will specify to the run, hey run, you execute pip install -r. In my project, there will be a file called requirements.txt. Run keyword I am using. The purpose of run keyword to execute any instruction whenever Docker image is getting created. Okay, I'm telling to the run pip install -r requirements.txt. -r means recursive. In that requirements.txt, if you configure multiple libraries, download and install all those libraries. So -r means
Sir,
recursive.
I have doubt like if that USS/app directory not have the if suppose that directory is not contained, it will going to create, sir.
Yes, sir, it will create that, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, run pip install -r requirements.txt. That means when the Docker image is getting created, I'm telling to the pip software to execute that requirements.txt and install whatever the libraries that we have configured in that file and expose 5000. What is the meaning of expose 5000?
Container port number where application is
It is used to specify
Container
container.
port number.
What is the purpose of entry point here?
execute instruction while creating
run
Docker
our
container.
Yes, entry point is used to run our application. Entry point Python app.py, which is used to run our application. Okay, so this is the Docker image for Python application, guys. All of you able to understand the Docker image for Python application?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here you said yesterday कि entry point execute after
Python.
Docker. Okay, then
Entry point is used to run the application in the container. Entry point basically, which is used to execute the instruction when the container is created. A container is a virtual machine, Linux virtual machine. So in that virtual machine, I want to run the Python code. That's why entry point Python app.py. So when the container is creating, I will run the application in the container.
Sir, what is the pip?
Pip is a Python installation package manager, sir. It is a Python package manager which is used to download Python libraries required for the application. How we have Maven for the Java to download the dependencies for the Python, pip is available as a package manager. In the Linux, we have yum package manager, apt package manager to download the packages, right? Similarly, for Java, we have Maven to download the libraries. For Python, pip is available to download the libraries.
And that libraries are going to install inside the required.txt, correct?
No. Whatever you specified in the requirement.txt, it will install them. Whatever you need in the Maven, I already told you, man, what are you listening? In the Maven, we have a pom.xml to specify the libraries. In the Python, we will specify the libraries in the requirements.txt file. Whatever you configure in the pom.xml, Maven will download for the Java. For the Python, whatever you specify in the requirements.txt, pip will download.
Okay.
Okay, got my point? Yes. Now, let me take one Python application from my GitHub repository, guys. You just type Python Flask Docker application. Yes. So Python app.py. In the app.py, Python code is available. In the app.py, Python code is available. I configured port number as 5000. So when this Python application is executed, we will get this output. Welcome to Python Flask application from Ashok IT. So this is Python application code. What I am doing in this Python application code now? Can you see? Am I importing the Flask? That is a library that is required for the Python. Now go to this Docker file in the Python project. Can you see the Docker file?
Yes.
Yes.
Copy/app. Instead of user app, I'm just giving app here. Anything is fine. So it is going to copy the Python application code from the current directory to container machine app directory. Then I will go to the app directory. Then I will run the requirements.txt. Then the packages will be installed which are configured in the requirements.txt. Now you see here what is there in the requirements.txt. There is a file called requirements.txt here. Can you see what is there in the requirements.txt? What I mentioned in the requirements.txt?
Flags, nothing else.
Flask
I
like
specified Flask in the requirements.txt and I'm executing that requirements.txt file by using pip. Okay, Docker file pip install -r requirements.txt. Now, what is the meaning of this line, guys? Line number 6. What is the meaning of it?
Like install Python flags.
Before going to run this Python application, you need to install the pip. Before you are going to run this Python application, you need to install Flask. That's why I'm using pip install -r requirements.txt. Very
So
good.
-r means what exactly it is referred?
Recursive, sir. Recursive. In that file, if we specify multiple libraries, it should download all of them.
And in the Docker file, when you copy that particular content from the repository, yes, this one, copy.app. So like anything we can select here rather than app, or how?
You can give any name, sir, any name, any directory name. It will
Okay,
create
so
and it will
whatever
copy.
we are giving the name, that particular directly will be creating in the container itself, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Now, let me go to my git bash and let me clone Python Flask application. Open git bash here. Okay, let me clone the git repository of the Python application now. Git clone application. Python Flask Docker app. I have cloned it. LL, let me go inside this cd space Python Docker app. Yes, there are mainly 3 things available. One is app.py. App.py is a Python program which contains the Python code. To run that Python code, Flask is required. So we specified that Flask as a library in the requirements.txt. And we have a Docker file which is used to create the Docker image for this Python application. Do I need to build or directly I can execute that Docker command?
Sir, we can directly execute.
Directly we can execute.
Directly we need to create the Docker image. So let's go to Docker PS. One of my container is already running, that is Java container. Can I stop and delete the container now? Before going to start the Python
Yes.
Flask container, can I stop and delete the container? Docker stop my container ID, which is going to stop the Docker container. Now Docker system prune -a. Remove all the stopped containers and remove all the unused images to clean up the memory. Remove all the stopped containers and unused images to clean up the memory. Now you can see Docker PS, no container is running. And I can see Docker images, no image is available. Now I have Python Flask application, Docker file is available. Let me run this application now. I will create a Docker image first. Docker build -t Python application space dot. What is the meaning of this -t here? What is the meaning of -t?
Tag name.
Image
Name.
name. I'm giving the image name as py-app space dot. What is the meaning of dot?
Current
Current directory.
Current directory.
correct directory. My
It's not
Docker
direct
file is
Docker
present in the
file.
directory.
Like
It is used to specify present working directory. It will find the Docker file in the present working directory. By using the Docker file, it will create the Docker image. If the Docker file is not available in the directory, Docker image will be created or image will not be created.
not created.
Will not
May
be
not
created.
be created.
Run this command. Docker build -t py-app space dot. Docker build -t py-app space dot. I'm creating a Docker image. Downloading Python 3.6 version. loading the build context. Okay. The Docker image is getting created. In that we configured pip to install the Flask. It is taking time. Copy the code from the current directory to app directory. Now pip install is executing. Run pip install. Now you see here, can you see downloading Flask now?
Yes, sir.
It is a package manager. Pip is a package manager. So finally, Docker image is created, guys. It copied the work, it copied the code, it changed the work directory, it executed this pip install requirements.txt. Finally, the Docker image got created. Now can you see Docker images? Py app image is available or not?
Yes.
So py app image is available, which is Python application image. So port number is 5000. How I will know the port number now? In the Docker file that is already mentioned. Expose is 5000. What is the meaning of expose 5000? This Python application will run on the port number 5000. So I will use that port number for the mapping to host port also. Now Docker run -d-p 5000:5000 space Python application app. Now you can see Python application is executed. Now you can check Docker PS. Container is running. Container is running. Container ID is also generated. Port number is also mapped. Container port is mapped to host port. Now how to access? This is Windows host machine. Na? So simply I will use localhost colon 5000. If it is Linux, public IP colon 5000. Now, am I able to access my Python application in the
Yes,
host
sir.
machine?
Yes.
Yes, I'm able to access Python application in the host machine. Okay, sir, what is the proof? You are saying that in the Docker file, we are writing the copy command and it is going to app directory. In the Docker file, I have given app directory. What is the proof that really our Python application code is copied into app directory in the container machine? What is the proof? Container is a Linux machine. What is the proof? My code is copied to container machine. Can we see that now? Really, our application code is copied into container or not? Can we see that once?
Yes, we can see that.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes,
before
yes, we can
that,
see that.
You
Yeah.
can see.
yeah, before that, let me give the steps for you. How we are running this Python application. Clone the Git repository. Go to Git repository. Copy this URL. You need to clone this Git repository. This repository contains Python Flask application. Now you go inside this application directory by using cd command, change directory. That's it. You no need to execute mvn clean package. For Python, build process is not required. Only for Java, build process is required. Who will tell you what is the execution process of Java, Python, .NET? Developers will tell you. Developers will know that process. Create a Docker image. Same process. Without building, directly we are creating Docker image. Then create a Docker container. The port number is 5000:5000. Image name, I have given above py-app. That means Python app. Once it is done, how to access the application URL. Just 5,000. No need to specify any application name. Yeah, read the steps now.
Sir, can you edit that second point? Second point.
Okay. Go inside the project directory. That's it. Go inside the project directory and create Docker image. Let me combine these two. Yes. Yeah. All of you, can you please read these steps now? What are the steps I have followed to run the Python application using Docker? What are the steps I am following to run Python application by using Docker? Clone that Python project from the Git repository. Then you go inside the project directory and you create a Docker image. Then you create a Docker container using that image. Then you can access the application using its URL. Now, how to get into Docker container machine? How to access Docker container? That is the question now. So container is created, code is copied, everything is available. So, but how to see that container? How to go inside the Docker container machine, guys? So first you need to check the containers which are running. Display Docker containers which are in running mode. What is the command to see the containers in the running mode?
Docker PS.
Yes.
We will use a command called Docker PS. Then it will display what all the containers which are available. Now go into container, go inside container. For this Docker exec-it, what is the container ID? Then bin bash. Okay. Now we will connect it to the container machine. Currently, I am using Docker in the Windows machine, but now I want to go into container. What is the proof that really our Python code is copied to container or not? What is the proof that container is a Linux machine or not? Yes. All of you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Docker PS command I am using, which is displaying the containers which are available in the running mode. Then let me execute Docker exec-it, give the container ID bash shell I want to use to connect with that. Now what happened? Unable to start the container using this bash. No, sir. Oh, okay. This is a Windows machine, so I'm not able to use this. Try Docker debug, Docker CLI options, container commands. Execute a command in a running container. So from the Linux machine, we are executing bin bash. From the Windows machine, I'm not able to go inside the container.
I think we can access PowerShell.
Is it container is running, sir?
Yes, sir. It is running now. You can see
PS.
Docker PS. It is running.
Yes, we can go.
I want to go inside that.
Can you open the Docker desktop?
So you can write in spite of bin bash sh.
SH is a terminal, na?
Yeah.
No, sir, it's
Space sh.
In Windows, it is different, I think.
just write SH.
Sh.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
now we
goes.
are in the terminal.
So when you use bin bash, it is not accepting. So in the Linux machine, bin bash is work. When I am running this in the Windows, it is using sh. So with this, I entered into that container.
Or we can use the /uss /bin
Okay,
bash
sir.
bash.
Okay. So with the sh, I'm able to execute. Then when I execute the pmd, sorry, PWD, it is displaying present working directory. In the present working directory, I'm executing a command ls-l. Now, can you see? So here from my Windows machine, I have executed a command called docker exec-it container id sh. Then I entered into container machine. When I execute pwd, it is showing that I'm in the app. Let me come out from the app directory cd. Then ls-l. What is all these directories, guys? Where you can see all these directories? In which operating
Linux.
system
Linux,
directories is available?
Linux file system, sir.
Linux operating system, yeah.
Now tell me, container is a Windows machine, container is a Linux machine,
Linux.
Linux only.
Linux machine.
container is a Linux machine. So what is this one? In the Linux machine, by default, app directory will not be available. But why app directory is available here?
We have mentioned in the
Because we are
Docker file.
using
Creation we have
Ah.
created.
We have mentioned that in the Docker file that I want to copy the code from my host machine current directory to app directory. So in the Java applications, what I specified to copy the code from my machine to which directory? User app. You can specify any path. If that path is available, it will copy. If the path is not available, it will create the path and it will copy that. Okay. So in the Java, I used user app. In the Python, just I used app. Anything is fine. Now we are able to get into the container and we are able to access cd space app directory, ls-l. Now can you see in the container machine app directory, our Python application code is copied?
Yes.
Yes,
Sir.
this is the proof to say that the container is a Linux machine. Now how to come out from the container to our host machine?
exe.
Exit. Now I came back to which location? My Windows machine.
Windows,
So
my
I came out from the container and I came to host. My host is a Windows. Host can, that means Docker you can run in the window. First 3 days I executed Docker. First 2 days I executed Docker in the Linux machine. And today, I executed Docker in the Windows machine. Tomorrow again, I will use a Docker in the Linux machine. Just I want to show you. We can use Docker in 2 different operating systems with the same commands. Any difference when I use Docker in the Windows and Linux?
no.
No, sir. Same.
Commands are 100% same. Commands are 100% same. You can use Docker in the Windows machine as well as you can use Docker in the Linux machine also. Docker you can use in the Windows as well as in the Linux also. All right. So with this, we are able to understand how to go inside the container and how to see the content available in the container. Docker exec-it bin bash. If it is a Linux, go inside container from Linux host bin bash. Suppose if you want to go inside the Docker from Windows host, just sh we are using shell. Yes. So with this, we are able to access Docker container. Practically, we are able to see container is a Linux machine.
Sir, we need to mention the Windows host, correct?
Go inside container from Windows host. Go inside a Docker container from Linux host. Go inside a Docker container from Windows host. All right, fine. So guys, we are able to understand Java web application deployment with var, Java web application deployment with the Spring Boot jar, and we are able to understand how to deploy Python application also by using Docker. Now, I'm going to give you 3 assignments for you guys. Assignments for today. Okay, these things are assignments for you. You need to try as a homework. You need to try this as a homework. Okay. Set up Jenkins server as Docker container. Set up MySQL database as Docker container. I want Jenkins. I don't want to download and install Jenkins manually. I want you people to set up Jenkins as a Docker container. I want one MySQL database. I don't want to download and install MySQL. I want you people to set up MySQL database also as a Docker container. And the third assignment I'm going to give you, create, I want to give you third assignment, Dockerize Angular and React applications. You need to find out the Angular and React applications and you need to Dockerize them. How to run Angular application by using Docker, how to run React application by using Docker. Set up Jenkins server as a Docker container, set up MySQL database. That means you need to run Jenkins by using Docker. You need to run MySQL DB using Docker. You need to take Angular application, React applications, and you need to run them by using Docker. So these are the 3 assignments I'm giving for today. I want you people to do some research and complete these tasks before coming to tomorrow's session.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please tell us Angular and React applications.
Sorry.
First assignment.
Your voice is breaking for me. Someone is asking a question. Yeah. Now you can go ahead with the questions, guys.
Sir, one question, one doubt, sir. Ki, sir, suppose in Java we uses Maven also, and we will uses Gradle also.
Any build tool is fine, sir.
So Maven में हम build करने के लिए ambient clean package देखते हैं तो
Gradle में Gradle build command होते हैं.
Gradle build jar something.
Yeah, Gradle build. That's it. That is a command.
अच्छा, उससे jar फाइल बन जाती है.
हाँ, वो भी jar बनाता है, वो भी war बनाता है.
ठीक बस ये.
Sir, my question is, so we will do first 2 assignments. Please tell us the Angular and React application. So, because I'm working on front end, so I don't know.
Yeah, you can try that. You can try that tomorrow. I will also teach.
Yes, please, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, guys, come on, go ahead.
Sir, in which package our Docker file is created for Java application, sir?
Sir, Docker file will be not in the package, sir. Just in the project location, you will keep the Docker file, not in the package.
Sir, it is not be created in the SRC or a main package, na?
No,
Sir,
no.
can you do one, sir, example or a practical in which how the Docker file will be created in
Sir,
Java application for Java application?
Sir, that is what I am doing now. Whatever the file I am writing here in the class now, same file you need to keep in the Java project directory, just to file creation. So this is a file, right? This is my Java file, Docker file. You find out any Java project which you have created in your system. So let me go to my classes. My Java project batch is available. So this is my Java project. Okay. So in this Java project, there is no Docker file. You just take one new file called Docker file. Don't give any extension. So you created a file. Then you edit that file and you keep the content in that file. That's it. Whatever content I have given, you keep that content in that file. That's it. You got my point?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you
Okay.
see,
Thank you, sir.
for your project, what is the jar file name available? Same jar file name you need to specify in the Docker file. So in the target, what is the jar file is getting created? That jar name you need to mention in the Docker file.
In the target also we have to mention same application name. Yes,
whatever
sir.
is coming in the target, once you package, whatever the jar name is coming, that jar name you need to mention in the Docker file.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good, guys. So for with this today, my project batch JRTP and Spring Boot people, for us Docker is completed. This is sufficient for us as a developer. Okay, good.
Sir?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, in case the Docker file is not available inside the code, while running the Linux machine, in which scenario we can use, sir? I mean, which time? After image creation or
I did not understand. I did not understand your question. You can ask me in Telugu.
Without
in case,
Docker file, we cannot create the image, right? So first of all, we need the Docker file.
Sorry?
Without Docker file, please, Chandrasekhar,
Huh.
కోడ్ లో డాకర్ ఫైల్ మనం లేనప్పుడు విఐ ఎడిటర్ యూజ్ చేసి మనం రాస్తాం కదా సార్, అది ఏ టైంలో రాస్తామని.
ఎప్పుడైనా sir, it's your choice at any time. Whenever you are doing the development, you can write, or whenever you want to go to the deployment, then also you can write. It's your choice when you want to write that Docker file. Generally, whenever the project is started, then only people will keep the Docker file in that. They will keep it ready.
ఓకే
Guys, today's notes is updated in the website for all of you. Could you please access the notes and confirm me? Is it visible for everyone? And please work on the assignments before coming to tomorrow's session. Any other doubts available for today?
can you please,
Sir,
upload
the
class
notes
also,
is
video
not
class also
uploaded
early?
for the Dockers and Kubernetes batch. Today only I was checking. The notes is not
Abhi,
uploaded for this Dockers and Kubernetes batch only.
Just now I have updated, sir. Please check it now.
Okay.
It is available.
Okay,
Just
okay.
now I have updated.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. It's
Can you please make
accessible.
sure that it is the video uploaded early, please?
Sorry, sir.
Notes
Yeah,
are
but the video,
accessible.
last two video early.
Your voice
However,
is
however, it is taking 24 hours time, right, to upload the video. So just I'm asking to upload a little bit early so that.
sure, sir. I will check with my team, sir. I will check with my team. Okay. Cool. Good. Thank you.